You scroll too far back in a conversation, and there it is. Something you wrote in 2019. The punctuation, the exclamation marks, the person who thought that was worth sending. And your stomach does something strange. Because you recognize the words, you just don't recognize the voice behind them. We usually call that embarrassment and move on. But there's a stranger question hiding underneath it, and most people never stop to ask it. Where did that person actually go? They didn't die. Nothing dramatic happened. There was no single morning where you woke up and thought, well, that's over. I'm someone else now. And yet somehow, quietly, they were replaced. And here's the part that makes it worth explaining. This isn't a personal quirk. It's been measured in tens of thousands of people. And what researchers found was stranger than anyone expected. But before we get there, let's deal with the answer you probably already have. Cells. You've heard it your whole life. Every 7 years, your body replaces itself completely. New cells, new you. It's a great line. It's also wrong. Your skin does turn over in about a month. Red blood cells last around 4 months. Your liver rebuilds itself over roughly a year. Even your bones remodel over about a decade. So far, so good. But scientists in Sweden found a way to date human cells using radioactive carbon left in the atmosphere by Cold War nuclear tests. And what they discovered was that most of the neurons in your brain's outer layer are never replaced. Not at 7 years. Not ever. The vast majority of them were there when you were a toddler, and they'll be there when you're old. So the hardware is mostly original, which makes the mystery worse, not better. If the cells doing the remembering are the same cells that were there 5 years ago, why does it feel like someone else lived that life? The answer is that it was never the cells. It's the connections between them. Your neurons are constantly rewiring. Connections that get used get stronger. Connections that stop getting used get pruned away quietly without asking permission. Every conversation, every habit, every heartbreak physically edits the map. Same bricks, different building. And if that's already making you look at your own memory differently, hold on. Because the next part is where the ground actually moves. Because now we come back to those researchers. And what they found in nearly 20,000 people, they asked a simple thing. How much have you changed in the last 10 years? Everyone had answers, big ones. Values, tastes, friendships, personality. Then they asked, how much will you change in the next 10? And almost everyone said, not much. I'm basically who I'm going to be, which sounds reasonable until you notice that the older participants had said exactly the same thing 10 years earlier and had been completely wrong. Here's the part that flattens you. This wasn't just young people being naive. 18-year-olds believed it. 40-year-olds believed it. 68-year-olds believed it with the same confidence. Age never fixed the bias. Experience never fixed the bias. Psychologists call it the end of history illusion. One of the researchers put it perfectly. Human beings are works in progress that mistakenly think they're finished. So right now, reading this, you almost certainly believe you've mostly arrived. Statistically, you haven't. And then there's the last thing to take away from you. You might think, fine, I can just compare myself to my memories and see the drift. But memory isn't a recording. Every time you pull a memory up, your brain rebuilds it and colors it slightly with who you are today. Then it saves that version, which means the past you're measuring yourself against keeps quietly changing to match you. So the cells turn over, the wiring rewrites, the personality drifts, the memories edit themselves. At which point, a genuinely uncomfortable question shows up. If all of that is moving, is there a real you underneath at all? And the answer is yes, just not the kind you were expecting. Think about a river. Every drop of water in it right now will be gone by tomorrow. None of the original material stays. And yet nobody stands on the bank and says, the river disappeared. It's still the same river. Because a river was never a thing. It was always a process that looks like a thing. That's you. You are not a fixed object that occasionally changes. You're a continuous process that changes so gradually it wears the costume of something solid, which means that cringe you feel reading old messages isn't proof you were fake. It's proof you're alive. The only people who don't outgrow their old selves are the ones who stopped. So the person you were 5 years ago is gone. And in 5 more years, so is this one. Be kind to them both. If someone came to mind while you watched this, an old friend, an old version of yourself, tell me about them in the comments. And if this made your own past feel a little less embarrassing, subscribe. There's more where this came from.